of us have about 70% water in our body. And animals have water in their body too. So electricity is dangerous to people, AC, and even some DC. And there's two more.
Metal.
That's right, metal. And all these wires up here are metal. Electricity likes to travel through metal. One of the best metals that electricity likes to travel through is copper wire, because there's very little resistance and electricity can travel through that wire really fast. And a lot of electric utilities don't use a lot of copper today because it's expensive, so we use a lot of aluminum. And the wire has to be tied on top of the pole onto an insulator. That's what these are. So we don't want the wire to touch the pole. And I'm going to tell you the third one, and it's wood, because a live tree has water in it. That's why the little boy in the movie says if a leaf touches electric wire, and it will, because of the water in the tree. So three conductors that are the best conductors of electricity is wood, metal, and water. And water makes it dangerous to people because we have a lot of water in our life. Electricity needs to have insulators. This is glass. It's not a conductor, it's an insulator. So you can tie that wire on top of the insulator, and electricity won't travel across the insulator down in the pole. And these even work when it rains, like today. Electricity still flows, and our lights don't blink. Another really good kind of insulator is plastic. A lot of the new insulators can be plastic, like these, and every pole's got insulators on it. That takes a lot of work to string that wire across that pole, and then you got to tie the wire down to every insulator. If lightning hits the insulator, cracks it, or if it becomes cracked somehow, electricity can bleed across that crack down to the pole, and it can cause electric shock, or your lights to go at your house. Or if a tree was to blow back and forth onto the wire, that can cause the lights to blink. Or lightning strikes out here and cause your lights to blink. So there's several things that can interrupt the electricity flow, because one uses to work on the interstate lights. That voltage is 480 volts, and these plugs are good for 480 volts. And we also have some plugs that are good for 7,000 volts. That's what a lot of this voltage up here is on top. We call that a primary voltage. And then the voltage that you use in your house is called a secondary voltage, because it's a lower voltage. Primary is high, secondary is low. The transformer, little green box, that's what that is. This is the transformer. That transformer in the substation, they can reduce the voltage so that we can use electricity in the house. And plastic is also a good insulator. And this little PVC pipe is plastic, or you could call it fiberglass. It won't conduct electricity unless it gets really dirty. A lot of dirt on it. Then electricity could track across this plastic pipe. But I am going to use 120 volts, and I'm going to use these little dials to show you some things that you don't want to do around electricity. If you're a person working outside, like this guy, and he's got a metal ladder, that's a good conductor of electricity. And I'm going to turn this switch on here on the house. I've got another switch right here, and all I do is mash it together, and you see that red light on. So now electricity is flowing across this wire. And remember, electricity is invisible, so that kind of makes it dangerous too. You don't know, you can't see it. But if this guy's going to work on his house, he uses a metal ladder, he doesn't look up, and he sticks it into this wire, then he could come in contact with electricity, and the electricity would flow through the metal, and it could flow through him, and it could come out his feet into the ground, like that. In the DVD, it says that electricity is always trying to find the fastest path to the ground, kind of like lightning does. And the ground is the earth. So if you're standing on the ground, it's like being, you could call, I could say that you're grounded. And if your parents told you were grounded, that might mean you can't go outside and play, or watch TV, or talk on the phone, something like that. But Og&E puts ground wires on these posts because we want to direct lightning into the ground and not through these wires. It's okay to have a metal ladder, excuse me, but Og&E's ladders are made out of fiberglass. It wouldn't be wise for us to use a metal ladder working around electricity. Another accident that can happen is a TV antenna. Or some people, have those amateur radio antennas, and if you got one into a power line, you can get hooked to that now. By me wearing this rubber glove, I can do that right there, and I don't feel the electricity. But I could not do that barehanded, because I would get shot. So today, there are electric codes. You can't build a power line this close to a house, or you can't build a house this close to the power line. There's this code that tells you how far away you can do that. If you're going to dig today, you have to call an 800 number because there's so much stuff buried in the ground. Og&E buries wires in the ground that go to the transformers. It's all underground. None of the wires are up here on the poles. And if you don't dig and you tear something up, you might be responsible for paying to fix whatever you tore up. And there are gas lines in the ground, and water lines, and sewer lines, telephone, and electric. So you have to be careful. You want to know where utilities are buried so you don't tear anything up. But you could dig into an electric line like this, even with a shovel. Because maybe somebody did some excavation and the wire's not buried to proper depth. Secondary voltage, you have to bury 2 feet. Primary voltage, 4 feet. If a wire falls down in an electrical storm, that wire might be I'm going to close the switch. That wire could be a live wire, but it's not dancing around or sparkling or making a crackling noise. But if I pick it up and drag it across the part of this table that's grounded, it's a live wire. So after a storm, if you see a wire down, you don't want to go close to it. You want to call 911, and they'll get a hold of Og&E and we'll get out there and get the wire back on the pole. If the wind blew the wire over this fence, it is metal, and it could be a conductor, and it may not be sparking, but the fence now is conducting electricity, and of course, the wire is too. So it's a live wire. After a storm, you have to be careful about that. If you, in the DVD, the car ran into a power pole, knocked the wire down on the car, so now you've got a dangerous situation. You're in a car, you've got a live wire on your car, and I hope that you didn't get hurt in the accident when you hit the power pole. But now, I'm going to close the switch up. You have a wire on there. The bus can be a conductor. You do have rubber tires that act as an insulator. So if the wire's not touching the ground, then the electricity is traveling through the car, in this case a bus. If somebody tried to help you in the car, you don't want to let them touch the car, because if this is a live wire and they're standing on the ground and they touch the bus, then the electricity could go through them into the ground, probably through their feet, like that. you are safe in the car because there's not a lot of conductors in the car. The electricity wants to travel through the metal frame of the car mostly. I mean, the outside of the car, if you stepped out of the car and you were holding onto the door and you touched the ground, then you would allow electricity to go through you. So that would be the path. Remember, electricity is always trying to get to the ground. So if you're not hurt in the accident, you have a cell phone, call 911. Og&E or whoever the electric utility is can get that water off into primary high voltage wire. And he didn't die, but he got hurt pretty bad. Electricity can do damage inside your body that you can't see. It can damage your lungs, muscles, tissue, burn your skin. I don't know how the guy's doing today, but he didn't die. This is a kite, and a kite can conduct some electricity. If you got it in the power line, especially on a day like today when it's real wet and have a lot of water. Now, Benjamin Franklin flew his kite in a thunderstorm. He was a scientist and an inventor. He thought lightning was a form of electricity. I guess he wanted to conduct some electricity on his kite string. And he did have a key tied to his kite string, I believe. And I think he was wanting that key to heat up or glow or something like that, or maybe even shock him, I don't know. But when he did that, electricity hadn't even been invented. But he had an idea, and he thought lightning was a form of electricity, and it is.